Hello, everybody, and welcome back to part 2 of this episode of this Headspace podcast, the show where we break down new hip-hop albums track by track and give you our thoughts and our opinions. My name is Holden Stephan Roy.
My name is Chris Chrome.
And today we will be continuing our journey through the wonderful album from Freddie Gibbs Madlib, known as Bandana. So we're going to do a real short intro bit here. We talked a lot, and we're trying to test out doing 2 parts. So if you want to hear the whole beginning and the first 7 songs, go ahead and click in the corner wherever it appears and go watch part 1, because otherwise some things may not make sense. Like, we might have some tangential conversations that we talked about in the last episode. Otherwise, we're going to run through it track by track. We'll get to that real shortly, so we'll give a special thanks to the patrons at the beginning while you're still here. Ismail Gadamsi, Chris Prado, Jonathan Barnes, DJ Black, Hurricane, Linda Williams. Shut them up while you're still watching. And without further ado, because, we want to get through this rest of this review, we're going to talk about track 8, which is Flat Tummy Tea.
Step in the booth and drop heat on these rap niggas without a cosign. You probably be filling my grocery bag, nigga. Poison.
You want to know what this song's about? Just go to the Damn Genius page. Almost every fucking line is annotated by Freddie Gibbs, giving you a description of what the fucking song is about at almost a line by line level. Allow me to elaborate. The first lyric is, I beat the pot like Joseph beat Mike and Jermaine. Writer, Freddie Gibbs, 4,131. That's his little yellow number. Beating the pot, you know what I mean? Definitely means cooking crack. Now I do. Thank you. Like Joe beat Mike, and Jermaine because he beat the ass, obviously, as he should. I have no idea who the fuck Joe, Mike, and Jermaine are in this context, but thank you, Freddie Gibb, for your insightful breakdown of your lyric.
Isn't Jermaine a rapper?
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe there's a different
like Jermaine Dupree?
But who's Joseph? Who's Mike? I don't know what reference this is. Then one came out the light, one came out the dark, but they smoking the same. So Freddie goes, I made some crack. That was dark skin crack. I made some crack that was real light. I did some crack that was yellow, all kinds of different weird colors. I had some crack that had bacon flavor to it. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know the difference. You gotta ask the crackheads, man. I don't smoke that shit. I just make it. So here's the thing. I don't know what I can add to this that is better than what Freddie just said, because that's fucking dope. Did you guys know that there was bacon flavored crack? I mean, somebody out there's like, yeah, of course I knew. I didn't know that we flavored crack. I didn't realize that sometimes it was light. I didn't realize that sometimes bacon flavored crack. Like, are you...
Well, actually, I could imagine the light in the thing. If it's crack cocaine, you can get like beige. You can get beige coke. You can get white coke.
Bacon flavored.
I'm not talking about the bacon. I'm talking about the light and the dark.
However, he offered nothing to, I break a 50 on blunts and give my smoker the change. Probably because I don't know what you can really add to that lyric. It's pretty self-explanatory in regards to it. Now, I'm not trying to take away from it. This track is fucking fantastic. Don't even get me wrong. This is the song where I saw the interview describing how he had kind of composed at least this song in jail in full. And this is the first time on the album that Freddie does something that we haven't really seen. He goes fucking fast at like the second half of this verse, like kicks it up. And so in case you were one of those guys who was in the first like half of this album going, I like fast rappers, Freddie's not giving it to me, he just shut you the fuck up because he just came in and gave it to us.
He did an a cappella at the show, and it was super cool because he did it in double time, and it's just as clear as how he raps on the beat.
So how do you feel about this track though?
I like this song. I really enjoyed everything that he presented with it, the energy, the beat, everything with it. But I kind of reviewed this song differently because I felt like it's not written in a story fashion, so there's not really like a narrative to follow. I feel like he's just kind of spitting bar after bar and just giving you like facts and different types of knowledge. I'm just gonna kind of read off certain lines that I kind of picked out and really liked. So first one was, people won't let you live in peace but love to see you rest in peace. That was pretty hard. You know, I can kind of relate. Nobody really wants to support you with whatever you're doing and stuff like that, but they will, give you flowers when you die and, oh, I miss him and blah blah blah, but they kind of want to see you pass. Broken, popping, and drinking on the rest. They got the best of me. I'm chopping it up on the table because there wasn't no label gonna invest in me. He had no other choice. He felt like nobody believed in him. He didn't feel like he was ever gonna get that label deal. He was ever gonna be invested in. So he had to do what he had to do. That's kind of what I feel, you know, as a rapper myself. I'm trying to make these songs. I don't know if I'm ever gonna make it or have to do that. Maybe I gotta do some shit later on. I don't know yet. Step out the kitchen and step in the booth and drop heat on these rap people. That's just pretty like, I'm a boss, I'm gonna do what I gotta do. But it's cool how he's like, I'm making heat in the kitchen as I'm cooking up the dope, and I'm also heating up the booth with my lyrics.
I mean, it's cool, but that particular line, I swear, like, anybody else could have rapped it. It's all the other lines around it that lets him get away with a line like that, because in his case, it's true. But all things considered, I just think that was one of the more boring lines on this song.
Oh, I actually screwed up because it continues and goes with, so step out the kitchen and step in the booth and drop heat on these rap people. Without a cosign, you probably be filling my grocery bags. Poison flow, I send opponents from riches to rags. That whole
Because,
part is
like,
cool.
in and of itself, every rapper's going to say that shit. But to add in, I did it on my own. I didn't need to get some famous person like Pusha T or Killer Mike to sign off on me being... I'm kidding, but it is a little funny.
Right.
But, like, really, he popped up based on his own merit. People didn't invest in him. And now maybe he's getting some love from people like, you know, Killer Mike and Pusha T. But that makes it a powerful line. And what you quoted the first time, I was like, I'm not sold on that one.
Fair enough. I like when he went, crackers came to Africa, ravaged, raffled, and rummaged me. America was the name of the fucking company.
That's one of the best lines on this album.
That was really, really cool how he kind of just, he's really relating it back to, like, slavery times and just way back when, and how, like, you know, America was basically built off the black culture and built off of black people. So he's really trying to bring that to the table.
He's also commenting on how it's not even a government or a country. If you look at how America's ran today, it's essentially just a mega corporation.
Absolutely. The chorus came in, which was pretty cool. It's kind of like an interpolation of like the first half of the verse, the first half of the first verse, and then the second, like the first half of the second verse, and it just kind of flows through, which was nice. But in verse 2, I liked when he went, soft or that hard, you fucked up regardless. Made my mind up, then incarceration my destination. I would wind up addicted to medication. Just poured another line up, overdosed with a styrofoam cup. How they gonna find us? Like, there's for Freddie on this line, there's really no end. It doesn't matter what you do, and I feel like he's kind of coming at it like, because I'm black, I'm gonna end up in jail or I'm gonna end up incarcerated no matter what happens, just because of who I am and where I come from, which is something that really, really stuck out. And the fact that he kind of brings up this whole, like, ended up winding up being addicted to medication and just doing all these drugs and stuff, it's like he's kind of bringing out this idea, like, what fucking difference does it make? Nobody really cares about us anyway. If we were to overdose, how would they find us? They're not even looking for us in the first place. So that really, really kind of stuck out.
It's also like, when I hear how they gonna find us, it's more, how are they gonna perceive us when they see us grown people who are supposed to be responsible, blah blah blah, is just sitting there overdosed with some fucking codeine, you know? Like, that's how they're gonna see us. That's how they're gonna discover us, you know?
Right. And then the last thing I really liked was Supreme Mathematics, I'm on the right course. Yeah, took that sword and knocked white Jesus off that white horse. And I really like that that type of thinking in terms of, like, how he's dismissing religion, and he's kind of dismissing this, like, ideology of the savior, and that it's not really true, and he's kind of questioning it, which was kind of powerful to me a little bit. But I really enjoyed the track a lot. Like, I really think that this one has a lot of jam-packed information that he's just kind of going. It's like free flow mind, just like kind of writing down on a paper, free flowing. Overall, though, I did give the song a 4.2.
I mean, to me, this song is ridiculous. It's got a lot of lines all over the place. Just, it's almost like you're getting a sense of just a lot of different things that he feels powerfully about. One of the more interesting lyrics, in my opinion, is definitely right after he does the styrofoam thing, when he goes, slave movies every year. Yeah, the master gonna remind us, if we don't take it, we don't deserve it back. And 6,000 years done ran up, the kings of the earth is back. And It's something that people really should maybe be aware of. But if you go look at like just who wins Grammys for black people and like the roles they play, it's like always a slave or a servant or a prisoner or some shit. And so all these big critically acclaimed movies that do show black people, often like it's not really good roles. It's like a constant reminder of this is your history. It's not like white people's producing Egypt, black people's amazing architectural skills and showing off the struggle of building the pyramids, and things like that aren't really being shown. Instead, it's more like year after year we're gonna get reminded over where the fuck we come from. I thought it was interesting when he goes, fuck Spike. He mostly showed Malcolm on coke with White Horse. Fuck Spike. Did the shit so he can get funding up from them white boys. And then apparently in the annotation he goes, I love Spike Lee, by the way. I said fuck Spike Lee because I love Spike Lee. I told H fuck him like 30 times today. That don't mean I don't love him. You know what I'm saying? I love Spike Lee. I like the movies. I was poking fun because it worked in motherfucking rap. It was fun. I'm like, that's not the most realist rhyme you ever wrote, Freddie. It's not. I mean, I'm just gonna throw it out there. It's weird to go and say, fuck Spike, and then after the fact be like, just because I said that, and then he misrepresented Malcolm X to people because the early part of Malcolm X's life is a little raunchier than the second half of Malcolm X's life. I don't understand how that means you love him. Sure, I'll give it to you. You could just be throwing in names because it fit the rhyme or whatever, and it was whatever. I think your explanation sounds like you smoked a fat blunt and talked too much on that little genius explanation you did there. That's just my 2 cents. I thought it was fucking hilarious. Honestly, reading his annotations is the fucking best. Anyway, I enjoyed this track more than Chris did. I thought it was really, really fucking amazing. Bar for bar energy is fucking dope. The beat, again, it's powerful. You can feel the passion in it. It's a 4.75 for me. It's really, really amazing. And I love this album. So I know that if me and Freddie meet, we ain't gonna have no situations.
He stood loyal, you was caught in the system. I made my land up in this game enough to win a percentage. So fuck a record dealer, nigga need a bigger percentage.
Alright, Chris. How do you feel about situations?
It's dope. I like the super smooth type flow. I like how the beat kind of gives me this different type of vibe. It's got a lot of snares in it. It's got these this type of boppy feel. So that was really, really cool. Verse 1, Freddie's kind of breaking down I feel like he's kind of breaking down what he's bringing to the table. Kind of like solidifying who he is and why he feels like he is this type of like this stature of respect. I put you people on game, put some respect on my name. Freddie Kane, a living legend. I hit a stain, cousin. Took 2 of the brain bullets, missed me. It's a blessing. Like, just right there, he's kind of showing like, look, I've been in this type of situation. I've put people on. I've made sure to kind of, keep things stable. And I've also missed bullets. Like, I've also been around some dangerous shit, and I'm still here. I'm still fighting. And I guess
where does he say he put people on in the bars?
I put you on game, put respect on my name.
That's fair. That's very fair. I take it back. Did you think of Birdman? Did Birdman pop into your head at that line?
I did, but I feel like I didn't care so much to really just kind of fade off. It really was like a Birdman, and came back to Freddie. I like how I like the respect that he is chasing though, because I don't want to say that he's underrated, but I think that I think that I do agree with when he says that he doesn't feel that he's that respected for the legitimacy that he's bringing to the table, and I could see it. I see it in this song. In verse 2, something that stuck out to me was 1989. I seen a person bleed. Uncle stabbed him in the neck and hit his knees. Turned the arcade to a stampede. I was playing Pac-Man Centipede. Put me on some shit I never should have seen. Robbing, killing, drug dealing in my jeans. Like, you never know what life's gonna happen, right? You never know what it's gonna bring, and something as I'm gonna say small, but like an incident small as like your uncle fucking up some dude in an arcade kind of could throw you down a path where you don't even realize that that's the connection. And that's kind of what I'm seeing here, is that because he was exposed to this type of life really, really young, for whatever altercation happened, he kind of indulged in that and went down that path. So that was something.
It's almost like, it's when he says it's in his genes, it's like it's the product of his environment, all these different things. It's like almost like, how could you not expect it to be something he does, given that he was exposed to it at the formative years of establishing what is normal and what not.
Absolutely. I quoted another line where the line with Obama got elected today and I got arrested. LA County literally stripping a person naked, and I never tell on no one of my enemies or connections. Motherfuck Jeff Sessions, I'm selling dope with a weapon. Only union some of me and my homies got is this Western. That was dope. I like how he's using Western as a in a way for the weapons and the kind of like the Western shootouts and stuff like that. Also a relation to Smith and Wesson. I feel like that was also like a relation to the gun there. That kind of played out too. I like how he's basically telling Jeff Sessions to fuck off.
Did you miss the Western Union connection? Like the money transfer place, Western Union?
Oh shit.
Only union some of me and my God is the Western.
Yeah,
so on
oops.
top of that, the only thing that we do is link up is the money connect.
See.
But you're right about the gun part and all that shit. But yeah.
I missed that. I missed that. I like how he's getting a little bit political and kind of like telling Jeff Sessions to fuck off in terms of like, I'm gonna sell dope. I'm gonna do what I have to do.
Jeff Sessions does not want marijuana to be illegal.
Well, there we go. I don't really know what, like, I kind of feel like I understand the Obama connection in terms of like it's the first black president.
Well,
and
I think
like
he's
a
just
black
saying,
guy still
like,
getting
this-
arrested the same day.
But it's like, imagine, like, who cares about how Obama represents change if on the same very day I'm getting arrested and stripped naked, I'm going through a system. So at the end of the day, that's great. But this is what happened to me at that moment. I thought that was a really cool line because it, like, shows that even though maybe some things change, a lot of things don't.
Absolutely. Those were the three main parts that I really, really kind of stuck out to me and I really liked. I did enjoy how he's giving us these different type of situations, really kind of connecting it to the title of the song. But it was cool. It was cool to see a side of Freddie where he's kind of going back and he's jumping back and forth from like where he's come from, what he's been through, and also in terms of like what he's doing now, and really just solidifying like, I've been through these things. I deserve the respect I'm looking for.
I definitely think you're right about the fact that he starts off the album talking about kind of the shit he feels he deserves, and now we're getting a little bit more into why he feels he deserves that shit.
Absolutely. Overall, though, I left the song with a 4.2.
I mean, I really appreciate it. Like, right off the jump, representer, street, I'm a representer, scary, I'm a representer, and then he flips it a bit, rest in peace, granny, I'm a represent her. I like the way he puts it out, like, right away, like, this is my world, I represent this environment, this situation, I'm gonna keep it like that. And then on top of that, I'm a bit of a softie, and I respect my grandma like that because, you know, that's what we do. And then he just flows on through. He's just a youngin' thuggin' trying to check a million. Youngin' thuggin' trying to check a million. Windows tinted with the killer in the system. More than weed and liquor in my system. And, you know, it's kind of like you get the sense that he's a little bit riled up. Maybe he's got a little coke in it. He's ready to fucking go, doing what he's got to do. County lockup or the police situation, we was in some shitty situations, and it's just like looking back on all the I guess the conflicts or what he had to do to get to where he is today, and from that perspective. And that's just like, you know, the hook, I believe, and it's a long hook, but it's a really good hook, and it really like sinks in for the song. And the verses are fine. He kind of like describes, again, just some of the shit, like spent 120 on a Rover truck. I had bitches when I rode the bus which is an interesting point because a lot of dudes only get the girls after they get rich, but he wants you to know that back when he just rode the bus, he got girls. Guess what? I ride the bus, I get girls. I'm with you, Freddie. That's called game. When you don't have a car at 31, I'm still, you know, can do alright. Way back when they wouldn't do a show with us, now they calling me nonstop so they can open up. And then does the whole other part that Chris quoted there. Like, it's a good track. It really flows in, and I feel like it does really reestablish to us that he has gone through some things, but also so eloquently putting just little conscious lines like, I'm paying attention, Jeff Sessions. Don't think that just because I'm a fucking drug dealer that politics don't matter to me, you know?
Right.
And I really appreciated the whole vibe of the song, the beat from Madlib, the way that it's a different sound again than what we've gotten earlier on this project. Like, I feel like we're in a different lane of hip hop than we were like 2 tracks ago, which is really cool because the same dude doing the same thing. Then you got that like kind of preacher radio guy at the end talking about the don't give a shit holiday, and it's kind of funny to listen to.
Fuck it Friday.
Yeah,
And no give a shit
but if
Saturday.
you really like look at what he's talking about in there, it's like you have to just kind of do you and don't let people judge you for how you live your life. Like, look, not everybody's gonna like you or agree with you. Not everyone's gonna think you're cool or whatever. That's not necessarily gonna happen. But if you ignore what they think and you just go do you, and you really just say fuck it, or you really don't give a shit about them, it's kind of the best way to live. Get rid of the negative people who are coming in with their haterisms. There are people who are just going to look at your success or the fact that on a weekend, you know, a lot of people might want to go party. But if you're like, yo, I'm going to go make a podcast or 2 or whatever, and every weekend they're going to party and you're going to podcast, and then a couple of years go by and you got some cool stories and they can't remember that party, you know? Like, it's just that kind of shit will breed bridges in your friendships with certain people who maybe don't live a similar life to you. So don't give a shit about them, and respect the cussing pastor. Overall, I appreciate this track again. I feel like it's another banger. It's another great one to listen to. Like, this album is shaping up to be a proper like classic at this point. I give it a 4.5. I think it's got all the elements, man. It's got the story kind of feel to it. It's got the theme of his life. It's got the diversity. It's got the talent, the writing, the production is... You're going to want to listen to this again just because of Madlib. Anyway, I don't think it's Giannis.
It's Giannis.
I think that's a weird way to spell Giannis. So
The G is silent.
I know it's Greek name and shit. So 4.5. But Giannis.
Lord told me, Freddie, fix up your posture, bro. Walk tall and never show niggas more than they gotta know.
So I know Anderson.Paak is a really well-respected person who like everybody seems to like, and everybody's like, Holden, how come you didn't listen to his album and review it? And I'll be honest, I didn't know that I would like his music because I didn't think he was a rapper. I thought he was more of an R&B singer guy.
Right.
Then I heard this track, and wow, does Anderson.Paak sound amazing. Like, I've heard him before on other stuff, but I've never had him blow my mind like the way he did here.
Track is dope.
Like, just the way he does the hook. Ice will come with the fame. Flowers cover the grave. Power, love, and loyalty wash me clean today. Like, what's cool about him is that it's so dope what he's saying. Like, it's not that weak-ass shit. Like, some of these guys who show up to sing on these rap songs who kind of sound in the same vein, everything they say just sounds so... Like, why is it here?
Right.
Whereas Anderson just sounds like he belongs next to Freddie. Like, he's seen some shit and he's got some legitimacy. I mean, his whole verse, the way he spits it, it was just gorgeous. I never really heard him before do a verse. I mean, right off the jump, cane on the blood, shots to the brain, snow on the... I'm like, what? This is cool. Not like cool, but like cool because it fits the theme. It really feels like these guys... kind of have shit to talk about that makes sense together. Calls for a truce, but truce came with snubs. Holy shit. We're talking about how gang warfare can't really end because when you try to, bodies hit the pavement. Money came from... Oh, Kane paid the bills. And I'm like, fuck, he's spitting the real shit right here, you know? I really love the way he does it. It's like he has this beautiful singing voice, and he's honestly making it sound gorgeous. Like an R&B guy crooning about a lady he's trying to intercourse with, only he's spitting some real shit, and I got my mom blowing, and I'm like, should we be reviewing his album that dropped recently? Was that a fuck up to not touch that album? I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe I don't like it. I couldn't tell you today, but I can tell you I've never been more interested in Anderson.Paak. I know that you're probably not supposed to say the period, but I don't care. His name is Anderson.
Ty $I9.
Yeah, that wasn't relevant, Chris, unless they happen to watch like 2017's
Now they'll
podcast.
go watch 2017 to
Oh
figure
man,
it
fucking
out.
bad. That's when they call me an asshole, and I'm like, this shit was 2.5 years ago, bro. Go watch a new episode and tell me if you still think I'm an asshole. Anyway, Freddie Gibbs though, he sounds proper on this verse, and I feel like, in a sense, we're not getting like revolutionary, brand new concepts here. He's just rolling with it, but I kind of like when he's like, fuck Sosa, bitch. I got soldiers and I put my people on.
Yep.
And again, one of the things I brought up recently when we discussed these types of dudes is the difference. One of the main differences, I think, between the fake motherfuckers and the real motherfuckers is the recognition that there is no way to actually do shit by yourself. You need a team. You're making music, there's a small chance that you're going to do all the music making, as in all the engineering, mastering, production of the beats, vocal. Okay, maybe you do, but then are you really going to run all the marketing? You're going to do all the video editing, you're going to do all of it, you're going to manufacture the disc. You could, maybe you are that one lucky guy, but then I'm going to probably call you a trust fund kid or some shit, because how the fuck do you have time to even go work or do anything, you know? Like, I'm just saying, somewhere along the way, somebody else is helping you. How you getting booked if you're doing all that other shit? You're not. You need a manager there. Everybody has a team, okay? Nobody really runs life alone. So when you see people being like, yo, I want to put my team on, my people getting the respect, because back in 2009, food stamps was what I was eating on. And he's remembering back to that, and now squad diamonds make haters stay on the job. So if you pay your people and you share the wealth, people won't betray you, you know? And then he made a corny ass Khaled line. Khaled, like, keeping the baby 380 with me like Khaled stay with Ashad is one of the corniest lines on this album.
That's facts.
Okay.
I see Khaled and his kid everywhere.
Does that make it less? I know corny because I'm a corny dude. It's from a guy who can spot corny a mile away, because I'm like I might be the corniest reviewer that takes hip-hop this seriously. Okay, I'm aware of that. So I know corny when I see that shit. Follow it up, it's pretty dope though. Bump that poison poppy seed, the Afghani shit from the mob. All I can tell you is, yeah, it's freaking fresh. One of my favorite lines, is a cartoon like Flip on the cover of Lucky Charms. Every morning I wake up with my daughter, Dora Explorer. And I like that, because Flip did have that cover where he's like looking like the Lucky Charms thing. Not the best move. And then Dora the Explorer is a show that, according to Kevin Smith, if you smoke a lot of pot and watch with your kid, is a really fucking great time.
When you smoke a lot of weed and watch Dora the Explorer, a lot of the weird shit that happens in the show when you're sober actually makes sense.
Because you're back to your infantile state. Then there's just other shit like, I've been dropped before, talked about, and wrote off before, heart on my sleeve in the ATF and my mama door. My Mr. Mongol told me, Freddie, fix up the posture, bro. Walk tall and never show more than you gotta know. Real G's move in silence, like Giannis. And I like that because, again, it's the right kind of ways that fits into corporate life. Like, look, office politics is the same thing as hood politics. In terms of the principles, we should all read 48 Laws of Power. We can all benefit of it. In the same vein, people in the crack game would benefit from how to win friends and influence people. You know, the more you can avoid pulling out a gun, the better your life is, no? I'm just throwing it out there. Anyway, another banger on this album for me. Another really one. Anderson.Paak sold it, like I said, so well that I want to review his album. Maybe if you guys give me comments saying, review that shit. So I give it a 4.5 on 5, because this shit is fire.
Nice. I like the track. I like Anderson.Paak's presentation on it. I think he does a really nice job in bringing this type of emotion and pain to his verse, as well as singing it and really kind of getting that tone to it. So that was super cool. You quoted the line I wanted to quote, and it came all in the blood, shots to the brain, snow on the bluff. I really like his realness to it, and the fact that it kind of sounds like he doesn't really know if it's ever going to stop. Like, there is no hope to stopping this. This is just a consistent loop or cycle that just keeps happening. I am impressed with Anderson.Paak. I think that I might go and try to see a lot of other stuff that he did, because I did check out the Kendrick track that he made as well. I think it's like Tinted Windows or just Tinted. So I kind of knew what Anderson can do before I heard this track, but now I'm a little bit more interested in seeing what he can do. Something that stuck out to me with Freddie, though, and the only reason why I'm doing this after is because Freddie's verse kind of just felt like the last song in terms of just like...
And?
No, but like just... It didn't feel like there was much difference in what he was saying, except for the fact that Anderson.Paak was there, and it just had a different feel to it. But something that I really liked was, industry got you sleep, but bitch, I'm woke. I know the devil, these people be falling off every day like Ace Hood, Rolly Bezel. People don't understand that 360 mean a percentage of every income stream, and how he's really coming in on these like streaming labels, and how like...
Do you know what a 360 deal is?
Yeah, they basically, it's a 50-50 trade-off in a sense. They give you everything. They give you everything to make your stuff and promote all your music and blah, 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 but you have to give them a percentage of everything you do. Your show, your cut, your album, your thing. I read it. I read
so
what
a 360
it was.
deal is where they give you a bunch of money, and so how it used to work is they would do the things like give you the money you needed to make your music and your video and stuff, and the label would clip mostly just your like album sales and your publishing rights, because that's another section. Publishing is more related to the songwriters, and then there's another one for that. So there's like a few ways royalties get splits down, and then you would have tour sales and merch sales and shit. But what ends up happening is on a 360 deal, the label just deals with everything on every possible fucking front. So let's say you wanted to throw your own tour and go make some money. You can't, because the label gets that money. And then you have to keep in mind why this is problematic is because chances are your album costs, I don't know, let's say it costs $500,000. It's going to take you a while to make back $500,000. Even if you have all this merch and shit, like to actually go make back that money, not every rapper who gets signed does. So you're not making any money because until you paid back all the money to the label. So you're right in the sense that they take a percentage of every source of revenue. And that's the thing that's important, is because previous to that, if you weren't signing 360 deals, there were like, you could go tour if you were broke and make money. But the fact is, if you sign a 360, there's no way to make money. You virtually become a slave to the label. And chances are they're going to make sure, and this is my intuition speaking here a little bit, but they're going to make sure that you spend just enough money on that album that you won't recoup it, which means what happens? Oh shit, you still owe us money. I guess you're going to have to make another album now, aren't you? And then you're just stuck. And what actual money do you end up getting seen from it? So that's why it's a dope line, because he's bringing truth about how the game works with a lot less words.
All that, but that's really what kind of just stood out to me, was just the knowledge that he's dropping, and he's really kind of, and what I'm really liking about Freddie is that as much as he is this like hard type of dude and like you don't really want to fuck with him and all this shit, I feel like there is this part of him that's like, I'm trying to help you guys. Like, I want the best for you guys. And in this weird way, he's trying to be positive and like, yo, I'm trying to give you the insight on how to be better and how to make the money for you as a young artist, as a young person, or however. I really like that support that he's trying to give out there, at least what I'm interpreting. But I think my issue with this song is I did a previous review on this, like I said, for a buddy of mine, and by the time I did this review, I've already kind of killed this track for me. So it's slightly standed at a 4.2. It got a higher grade first time around, but after re-listening to it, the authenticity of it kind of died. Like, I was just like...
What are you saying? The authenticity of the song died.
Not authenticity. Is it novelty? Like just
novelty.
The first,
novelty is a fair thing.
Then that's
because this song's authenticity shouldn't change based on how much you listen to it.
I'm definitely getting my words mixed up. I don't mean to take away from the uniqueness or the.
Dude, this song's a fucking banger. Just because you listen to it so much, you got like, basically what you're saying is I heard it too many times and I got sick of it. Fine, that's your issue. However, I'm saying this song's fucking fresh, and I'm saying this song, I'm liking it, man, because basically what I'm getting is great lyricism, well thought out bars, little educational nuggets, dope beats, and a great flow. I mean, as far as the checklist for a fucking banger, I don't care if the last song was also a banger. Oh no. Too many bangers on this fucking album. It almost sounds like he spent a lot of time with the practice.
That pussy, I knocked the dust off when all the trust lost. Sometimes the love is soon to follow. Wife, you put
Sometimes you just gotta rap about a girl. Now my rules when you rap about women are, it's kind of like this. You best be saying some shit that doesn't literally sound like the other 90 gajillion fucking songs about women. Often rappers miss the mark. You'll have the freshest motherfucking rapper make the boring ass girl song, and I'm like, come on, be interesting with it. But Freddie Gibbs made it interesting because he says some honest shit, right? You can tell that this is a dude kind of thinking back on the situation. So, you know, she about to get off work at the club I used to wait for her, fucking up my whole family structure to clear the day for her. When I was going through problems at home, I should have prayed more. So all of a sudden it's like he met some girl and he's ignoring his family and this whole situation's playing out, and he's describing some real shit like, dear Lord, but I didn't. So I'm tangled in this position, made a commitment to both these women and never considered both their feelings. Now, you'll have a lot of guys who will brag about fucking multiple women and shit. But it takes a real man to get up here and talk about how fucking around with two different ladies' emotions and commitments is a problematic thing and you probably shouldn't do that type of shit. You got too deep, so I should have just deaded it from the beginning. And I admit I got a bit jealous when she was at Floyd crib stripping and that ain't like me. So, you know, as shit escalates, maybe there's some consequences, or like you got jealous of this stripper who's dancing at Floyd Mayweather's because he's getting attached even though he's got a wife and shit. She called my phone with all the rough talk. I went to fuck off. Wasn't seeking another relationship. I just needed to duck off. Got a cool new bitch in the boonies, that pussy, and knocked the dust off. So, you know, that first girl up wasn't working out. Found himself a new girl. And then all of a sudden his wife lady is like, yo, you kind of like got to come home and deal with your kid and be a father or just get the fuck out, you know? So tell me that does not sound like what rappers normally do when they talk about women on a track. That sounds like a guy who literally lived out this experience, reflected on the consequences of the situation, and came to the conclusion that, yo, maybe the drugs got me crazy and this wasn't the right like approach to the situation, you know? And then he has his little interlude thing, and he goes into the second verse where I don't know if it's quite on the same thing, but, you know, get it like Meech and Slick say, but she no comprende when I'm chopping shit up like a sensei to get rente. My trunk on more blocks than Dikembe. And now we're a little bit more onto maybe a different side of his life. He's trapping for his homies. They're too incompetent for this balancing act. And it's just lines like that. Like, he's doing this shit to bring his people along with him because, honestly, they can't handle it. And you know what? Somebody has to be that leader, dude. Somebody's got to take on that position, and he's doing it, you know? If they really love me, they'd be keeping me from it to keep it 100. How you complain about the price when you're getting everything fronted? Oh,
Damn.
that's like looking at his friends who maybe can't handle the situation. Like here's the thing: if you got the crib and you got the studio, let's flip it to music, and you got the connects to the beats, and you got the connects to the graphic designer, and you got the connects to everything, and you put Buddy on your album and shit, and then Buddy gives you some attitude, and you're like, bro, you didn't even pay. Like, what the fuck? You take it to drugs. It's like he's just giving people some shit. Like, if you can't afford to pay for it up front, you gotta shut your fucking mouth and take what's given to you, because, yo, if you're fronting shit, you know, it's crazy. Like, you can't complain about the price. You get a worse price because you're fronting, you know? That's the consequence of that situation. Let's be real, they come and go like Pokemon. Don't get no RESPECT from my baby mama's mom. Put some respect on my name. He said that twice now on this album. Like Beatrice, Men in a Mattress, Fake Love, I don't really need it. Like Alan, ain't need to practice. And I really just appreciate this track because it does look at like almost like later on, and you know, it's like time's passed on, and now, you know, he's dealt some shit, and maybe the grandma doesn't like him, kind of like Miss Jackson. She doesn't like him neither. And he's kind of like, yo, I'm in this situation now where my people don't necessarily give me the respect I deserve or need. And, you know, in a sense, it's a weird song as far as practice goes, because it's kind of like practicing at life, and here are some of the situations that are coming at you, and kind of how I dealt with it. And I felt it was deeply personal, and I felt it was super interesting to listen to, and you know what, it was great, and I gave it another 4.5. And that is, this Madlib gives us a darker, calmer, slower, more solemn situation. It's just a brilliant track.
The way that I kind of looked at this track, starting off with it, and how he's talking about his relationship with like women and his baby mama and his child. The first verse really kind of gives off like Holden said, this kind of like reflecting feel. He's kind of reminiscing about it and kind of growing from the experience that he had. but and then getting into the second verse, I did feel like it took a turn a little bit of like, whoa, where's the family aspect? What's going on? And what I came to realize is that it's this practice to be better and overcoming a lot of the, I guess, the nonsense or the experiences you've been with, and that's what he's coming to do. Near the end of the track, you kind of get this feel where he's gone through his struggles, he's gone through his mistakes, he's admitted, he's dealt it, now he's trying to change and be better, but now that he's practicing to be better, he's starting to realize all the other shady shit, and he's not, and it seems like he's kind of confused, and it's like this, when you're in it, you don't realize it. When you get out of it, you start to see how like dark and gritty the other area could have been. And I think that's what he's trying to do on this track. You quoted everything I wanted to quote. But I think that's what Freddie's trying to do on this track, is really trying to just show us like, this is what change is. This is what growth is. This takes time. You can't just fuck up, cheat on your wife, fuck your family up, and then, oh, no, I'm good again. Like, you really need to sit back and really kind of get into it and learn about these things and really kind of flow with it. So that was something that was really cool. It was a softer tone. It was slower paced. It was nice. It was a different vibe. But it landed with a 4.3 for me.
That's because Chris doesn't see the absolute and sheer brilliance of this shit, because maybe he's blinded by his cataracts.
Good for my cataracts. Bad food, fast food, getting fat. Now this thing.
This was like the first song in a while where I didn't feel like it was bad by any means, but I feel like relative to the other ones, I had a lot of trouble getting into this song. I feel like the beat was amazing, and like the way he rapped over it was like good to listen to in terms of like the voice as an instrument flowing through it. But there was like nothing in the verse that I felt I was it's not that there was nothing in the verse that I could grab my attention, but just the way this song was packaged, I found it really hard to focus on the lyrics as much as say other songs, even though as I like look at the lyrics, there's some amazing fucking shit here. But how did you feel about it?
I don't have much to actually say. It kind of follows suit with a lot of the other tracks in terms of his experiences, where he comes from and what he's done. There's references to, again, like, you know, drug dealing and the environment and the atmosphere. But what I think I really do enjoy about this is how he's talking about using smoking weed to kind of ease the pain and kind of get through his struggles, and the cataracts that he has is because of all the negative shit that he's seen, and it's all the damage and the pain that he's been through, and that's why he's smoking, to kind of relieve himself and try to keep that open-mindedness. But there wasn't actually much for me to credit, for me to quote. Like, I felt like this was hype. This felt a little B-side for me. The beat was great. The beats are stellar. There's nothing that Madlib is doing that's really wrong on any of these beats, but I think just the overall song for me, I was like, I could live without this. Like, I don't know, it was what it is. I gave it a 4 on 5. I don't have much.
I mean, I don't agree with Chris. I think there's a lot in regards to stuff to talk about. I'm just saying that the way this song flowed at me, I found it harder to focus on than the other ones. It was not as it's really well made to me, but like, I'll be honest, this one I might be willing to skip every now and again if I was putting this album on. But even from the beginning, like, I had to smoke that came along with us, because he gonna rat us out, just describing a situation after they robbed some Crips in Atlanta, because that was like a problematic thing. Seemed like my actions was devil sin. I can't sympathize. Fuck Generation X, this generation genocide. Your social stat make you fantasize about a homicide. And that's fascinating, as he's commenting on the generational thing, because he's Generation X, we're millennials who come after that. And I like how he focuses on how like the next one's almost genocidal in its actions, or the fact that your social score is so fucking significant that it could make you start to consider actual crimes and whatnot. And I like how he goes, to me, the God Allah is the black mom personified, anticipating and killing my own in a search of wealth. And it feels like he found the Nation of Islam at some point, and I believe that happened at some point in his life, but you can just feel it in that lyric. That's straight up from, he's kind of discovering that end of his power inside of himself. And then I thought it was cool because he goes, cold turkey on the dope, had to gain knowledge, the knowledge of self. Or knew the Lord was in the room when my daughter took her first breath, cold turkey on the dope. So when he had his kid, it's like he had to give up a lot of the shit like codeine that was making him pass out earlier on in the verse. And then he may be smoking some good in the Cadillac and whatever, but weed's it's more medicinal. It's a very different thing. And then he like flows on through, and I think like stuff like, you lucky enough to get you up with morals, you needed to heed to that. Turkey bacon bitch, like my toast buttered on both sides. And in a sense, it's like he's pointing out that he's a quality person now, and,
Right.
and he's got that don't eat any more pork shit anymore. Chevy dipped in liquid cocaine, my Casper the Ghost Ride. I let some people go from the company and they sold up. I know that jumping straight to hell, I pray that they nosedive. Mama said don't leave the house if you ain't got Jesus with you. And you're feeling like overall in this song, there's more. It's almost like, in a sense, when you smoke pot, you might find yourself feeling closer to God. And you can almost feel like this more spiritual essence of where he's coming from. Like just a whole other side of his character that we haven't really explored a lot on that. Like he had the cataracts that were blinding him moved away as he found consciousness within himself.
That's cool.
So yeah, the song has something to say, Chris. And I like the fact that for the most part, while sometimes it feels similar, no two songs really come at it the exact same way to a point where I found it boring. But I give it a 4.25 because, like I said about the sound and shit earlier on, that's fine. The next one is Gat Damn.
I reminisce that feeling when I think about it. A billion in the bank.
On the one hand, all that shit I was saying about how he's versatile and he's got a nice singing voice and all of that shit is true. And I feel like this was a really cool song for the sake of versatility, for the sake of showcasing that he really can do a whole lot of anything. But again, like I feel like we went from this shit that I was considering like, wow, every song's a fucking banger classic, to like the whole quality, in my opinion, just went down a little bit of a notch, and like we moved into maybe he should have cut this project a couple songs and not made it like 13, you know, just cut. I'm not saying like made these like deluxe ones, because I feel, and this is my opinion, that this one just isn't quite as amazing as the other ones, you know? I might be wrong, like he's pouring it out for the people he lost, and you know, in light of the fact that his life's moved on to a better situation, you know, he's thinking about, you know, all the bad, you know, like just where he came from and the struggles. And so on that front, it's fine. Like I reminisce that feeling when I think about it, $1 million in the bank. I used to dream about it, and I'll heat up in the whip. I used to sleep about it, up in the morning whipping cocaine up about it. And then it's all right. I just think that as far as like all the other songs go, this one may have been a little more on the generic sounding side of the game. Almost it's like to a point of proving he can do it as well and make it sound good while he's doing it. I like when he's like bacon ham and cold salami, that's all they're serving us. You know, stomach hurting, the devil working, but I ain't nervous. Beat the verdict, but lost a milli, guess life imperfect. Whipping birdies, the devil working, but I ain't nervous. And in that little bit, it's like I've had this second breath of life where I've maybe gotten rid of the pork and shit. His court case cost him $1 million, so as much as he won, it wasn't a simple situation. Like he gained $1 million, right? In his life, he gained his first $1 million, as we saw in the first verse, and then he loses it in a court case over a situation that, you know, he ends up getting acquitted of the charges on, or some rape charge that came at him in Europe. It's like, imagine being in Europe and all that. Anyway, and I just feel like it was very top level compared to the other ones, which have more depth. And for that reason, I give it a 4.35, because the beat's really good, and sonically it's really good, but it's not as much my interest as some of the other ones that we've had on this project.
This is the one track that missed me. Out of all the tracks on this project so far, this is the one track that when it came on, I was just like, what? I like his sentiment towards, you know, paying respects to his friends who've passed away. free the homies that are in jail. He's kind of got this personal feel to it where he's thinking back about his life and how things have changed and where he is now, and he's kind of like, God damn, I've kind of like upgraded, I've moved up, and I made it out. But I just didn't like this song. This is the only song that I just did not
You're
like.
allowed to not like one.
I don't know. This landed at a 3.5 for me. I don't actually know what to say just because I read it. It was like, okay, this is cool. I listened to it. I was like, okay, this is cool. I'm not shitting on Madlib for the beat. No, it was great, but I just was not interested, and I greatly apologize for that. But yeah, it's at a 3.5.
All right. The next one has some collaborators who are very interesting as we get some education.
Everybody giggling, that kid was getting killed, and I knew when I stood they would.
So it starts off with Mr. Yasiin, which is so cool to see him on this album. Like, as far as people you're not expecting to see show up on the album with the crack dealer guy, Yasiin. Now it makes sense because on the other side, Freddie Gibbs has proven to be a very conscious rapper in the way that he spits his shit. How did you feel about this track?
I liked it in terms of the wisdom, but and the knowledge that they're kind of bringing to us. But I didn't really feel the track itself. It seemed a little slow. It was long, and there was no oomph to it. I felt something that Yasiin said that stuck out to me was the jail overcrowded. They emptied out the school, which it kind of connects into something we spoke about in part 1, where Freddie was explaining how like his initial destination is incarceration either way. It's cool to see how Yasiin is explaining like our schools are being emptied because all of our kids and all of our family members and stuff, they're all being thrown in jail for what? For being black, for being part of this type of area,
I mean,
culture?
just to like flow it in, the whole part of the verse before that kind of looks into the relationship between maybe America and black people. They go in one way, they come out crazy. Peace preparatory school, emperors and conquerors, followers and followers, goblins and monsters, stoneheart jewels and gold for the fools, the bones of the innocent as buckles on their boots. So in a sense, it's like they come out as like in the name of peace, they conquer, they take over, and then it kind of alludes each line being a little bit cryptic towards Africans being taken and trampled over to a point where it gets a little more modern with the lyric, the jail overcrowded, they emptied out the school. Like that's the consequence of all of the situation that happened throughout this history. Anyway.
Nice. So that was something that stuck out with me. Another line that I did like, but I think a lot of my problem is that my intelligence level for Yasiin, even when I reviewed the album on Classic Quest, I know I'm nowhere near that, so I might not understand a lot of what he's saying. But I did like the line, strange fruit, cyanide, sulfur and soup. It's tasty for a few and murder for the group. I know I don't understand what that means, but
it has
the way
to do with the song Strange Fruits, which is written by Billie Holiday, which reflects the way that black people hanging from the trees is kind of like a strange truth as they're getting lynched. So souffle and soup, it's tasty for a few and murder for the group. So it's kind of like taking the idea of these strange fruits and being death and shit, but being like these ingredients where a few people like it, but it's murderous for a lot of others.
Which I kind of took. I didn't really see it that way, but I did understand that was what he was trying to get across, and I really like how he put that together. But there's so much in this song. And I know I didn't get enough time to really sit down and try to compact it enough to go through it. But I really did like hearing Yasiin come in on the first verse and really give us this like, not like this rappity rap, but really just this just kind of talking, kind of like poetry in a way, like what rap is, rhythm and poetry, but not what we consider rap to be, or at least me. So it was just really cool and really different, and his voice really matches up with the beat, and that was really nice. I have no idea Black Thought. Like, I know who he is. I've seen interviews. I know he's like a legend in term, like he's
the guy.
symbolic.
He's the rapper from the Roots.
I know who
He's
Roots
very
is,
conscious.
but I know who he
You
is.
should listen to
I've
Black
heard
Thought,
him.
and then take the time to go look up the lyrics.
Yes, that is something I should do. But what I did like from Black Thought was when he said, they say in the 6 bands are higher for the flight, so I may be a hitman for hire for the night. If you're figuring this man's maniacal, you're right. Barcodes on the wristbands, it's not even an oversight. They intentionally expand, probably to extradite. If you want to play blind, just look straight into the light. That really stuck out with me, and the way I kind of think about it is like, it costs a lot of money to have to go fly around and do what you got to do, so maybe you got to make some movements that get you that type of money. Granted, he says he's going to be a hitman, but like, maybe he needs that type of money, right, to make what he has to do. Yes, I like how he follows up with the maniacal line in terms of like, that's where you kind of start thinking like, you know, you're willing to go be this for that. But it's weird how he connects it in terms of like barcodes on the wristbands, as if like we're all just numbers. I kind of took it as we're numbers and we're just being tracked, but nobody really kind of notices it. Like, we just don't care, we overlook it. I did get confused a little bit with they intentionally expand probably to extradite. I assume they're expanding like jails and trying to, I guess, like just have more space to captivate these people. I don't really understand the extradite part, but I do like how he says, if you want to play blind, just look straight into the light. Like, if you're really trying to just fuck around, just be an idiot and stare at the sun. And that was something that was really cool that I got from Black Thought. You have any comments on that?
Well, I thought it was interesting because I took barcodes on the wristband, almost like people are buying into these clear, like almost giving up their wealth to sign their souls almost to different companies and whatnot. Like, you may as well just put a barcode on your wristband and just ding ding and whatever, and it's the deliberate thing. So their goal intentionally expand probably to extradite, so they intentionally expand their empires with the goal of extraditing resources and shit. So an interesting thing to like just think about there is, while everyone's purchasing their gadgets and whatnot, is how China is then moving into Africa to, you know, take over that situation and almost go throughout the same thing. So if you want to just look into the light, you know, and so it's almost like if you want to play blind, you can look into the light, as in you could pretend like you don't really see what's going on and be ignorant with it all, but the truth is it's still there. But the following line, the puppeteers playing you for spite and worldwide, what we're paying is the price, and that's life and education. I just think it's another verse that flows in and shows how kids graduating from public schools and prisoners, underprivileged aboriginals, indigenous, and images of that family that got adopted, the president of some non-profits is out of pocket. And it's flowing through this situation where it's painting out the hood and the systematic setup that maybe doesn't tell these young kids that they have any opportunities or any situations. So when you end up with a bunch of young poor kids who believe they're a bunch of hooligans who don't have any opportunity or history or culture to cling on to, nothing to really find strength in, you know, and then you move into a point where it's like, couldn't see, the Plymouth Rock landed on top of New Morocco, couldn't see who was firing shots, the shooter got low and left a burning cross on the lawn just like a pothole. I may not be here, I'm feeling like I might just leave before I start a fire or fight. And then he says all that other shit. Right. So when you look at like the context of what built up to that, where it's like, you know, you have this racist attacks on your entire existence, and you almost have this desire to escape the environment rather than be put into a situation where you have to maybe deal with it. But instead looking at like, nah, but this is some bullshit that's actually going on, and we all choose that like willful ignorance. At least that's what I took from it, because he's right. It sometimes takes a quick minute to like really delve into it, and I didn't really sit there line for line and figure it all out. I definitely took it like each of these guys is taking their take on how the situation is set up and how almost black men are from the beginning educated into certain lifestyles. Now, and then Freddie Gibbs comes in with his verse, which I thought was pretty fucking dope, where, you know, he has that line where 21 Savage was at the slut walk.
Well, I actually quoted it. I like when he said, wooden leather buck talk. China White with Cut Talk. Cane Train, a hoe can never put me in a slut walk. Education, Traponomics, Narcotic Plug Talk. My hands was right back in the birds as soon as they took the cuffs off. Dude's dedicated to his grind. Wooden Leather Buck Talk, I don't actually know what that means, but China White with Cut Talk, cocaine. Cane Train, a hoe can never put me in a slut walk. I feel like that's just a shout out to Amber Rose and like a shout out to 21
It's also
Savage.
saying that if you're gonna be a savage, you can't go do the slut walk thing. I'm not fully agreeing with Freddie here on my personal side, but his point is I won't let a woman put me in a situation that compromises the hardness of my image. I think it's more gangster to go in the slut walk, but that's because you're going against the grain and fighting for some noble shade. But I get what he's trying to say.
Absolutely. Education, Traponomics, Narcotic Plug Talk. That really stuck out because it's like, again, with what you were saying earlier, they're kind of taught and they're stuck in these environments that kind of teach them how to do these things without even maybe wanting to. Narcotic Plug Talk, they're around dealers all day. Even the local dealer on the corner is talking like that. So it's things that they just pick up and learn through the streets. My hands was right back in the birds soon as they took the cuffs off. Dude took the cuffs off, he went back to flipping coke. Basically what he's saying, which shows his dedication, shows he's.
But it also shows like this is the only life available to me, right? Yeah. It's like there aren't other choices, there aren't other things. If maybe there were, maybe if I had been given the same opportunity as everyone else. And there's some shit where it's hard for me to relate to because in Canada, man, welfare gives you enough money to like fucking pay your bills, and so nobody really has to go. You have to go to that life if you want to have fun. You don't have to go into that life if you want to eat.
Absolutely. But that's really what I took from Freddie. My issue with this song though is really just there isn't enough oomph. That's all I have to say. I like how they transition between each other. I like the little break where they go education.
See, that's the thing I didn't like. I hated the break part where I education and then it pauses and it stops for a few seconds and then the next guy just comes in and does his verse. That was my least favorite part of this song.
Well, I actually enjoyed it. I think it's really I think what they were trying to do with this was just really focus on the knowledge and really get into the nitty gritty of what they wanted to say, and they weren't trying to really make it into like an actual song that you can get distracted by.
I guess.
I left it with a 4.5. I thought it was really dope.
I mean, I thought it was cool because you have like these conscious guys coming in and like revered thinker types coming in, and then Freddie, who's almost like what was being described, the product of that environment, coming in like it's true, dogs, and this is the situation from my point of view as well, because like I said, Freddie is conscious in the way he spits it, so he totally belongs here. Right. I love the lyric, you ain't lit, you litter like Trump's Twitter feed. And again, just that little point, like taking that little shot, saying, yo, the stuff this man says is literally litter like you who ain't lit, plus it's a good line because lit and litter share some common ground. Or you ain't from no set if you wasn't gangbanging in Little League. So you can't just like all of a sudden be in a set. It's more like you had to grow up here. You had to be part of that from when you were young. It's not just some shit you can buy your way into type crap. Honest fascinating. Cost of life on. We stay so high, that's why we can't come up. My credit score is 0. I'm still pulling ranges up. Oof. Them cash counters is counteracted. The paper cuts gas by a pump when Dominique used to lace them up. I just love the fact that he comes in and he's like, yo, I ain't got credit. My shit's fucked up. But yo, I got cars. And it's just like, look, man, there are other ways to deal with the situation. So in a sense, we learned earlier on the album Crime Pays, but at the same point, crime is also the education that's given to people and whatever. But I agree with you. The beat, the overall tone, the way everyone rapped, there was like this oomph that wasn't there. On the other hand, it's the only song that's like this, and I thought that was cool from the versatility front of things and showcasing it. Plus, after proving how real he is, to take some time to get real conscious with it like this right before the end of the album is really cool to me. It just shows where his priorities are at. Like, it's not about flossing, it's about sharing. It's about lifting up others and shit, and I think that's pretty fucking fresh and dope. Anyway, there's one more on this project, and it's called Soul Right.
With them rats and I watch the cheese move, shaking all these nuts so niggas off the roof, off the record.
All right, this one's soulful, hence soul right, and his soul's gonna get right on this one. Get it? No, but it's nice, man. It flows in smooth. You know what I'm saying? Too motherfucking smooth, bitch. Bald head like a baby ass bitch. Yeah, I think that's hilarious how he somehow manages to bring his head into it while describing how the beat's smooth. His head is smooth. It's fucking funny to me. And then here to fucking remain. Still fuck the police, and then he rolls into the verse, and I think that's it was a good intro. It's like, as the last song on this album, it just is such a calming vibe. Like, you right away you just feel like things are gonna be okay right off the jump, and I think that's a good way to put the tone for the end of a project like this, which is cool. What do you think of this song?
I thought it was a nice way to end the album in terms of kind of just trying to get back to where he wants to be. I felt like he was just trying to end on a positive note. I like how he goes, rest in peace, Terrence Crutcher, motherfucker, Betty Shelby, fuck that bitch. I never wish death, but bitch, I find a hollow tip and inhale it. It's really this deep type of whoa, you're going through shit, but you're also trying to kind of get out and try to figure this out. And
wait, what? That's a cop who shot a kid and got off, so he wants to fucking kill her because he doesn't normally want to wish death, but that is a fucked up situation. How this white cop lady was able to successfully kill a kid.
I understand that. I took it differently I know what the context of the situation is, but I took it as him kind of experiencing him looking at this, and he's just dude, this is really fucked up.
Which makes sense as long as we discuss what the thing that is fucked up is.
Absolutely. But the song itself, I'll be honest, I was rushing by this point at the end because I was actually on my way here. I like the overall sound of it. I didn't really get time to really sit down with the lyrics, but it has this nice feel of, I guess, overcoming these struggles. Something I did like, though, was every day I fuck up a bulletproof glass chicken plate. Empty stomach, broken heart, and empty pocket. 3 things that occur to show you if you and your homies solid. Know that they won't prosper, but the devil still gonna form the weapon. No matter what he does, he's still a fuck up. And that's kind of what I got from the bulletproof glass on the chicken plate. It refers to, cutting coke and all this shit. But the fact that the glass was bulletproof and it's still breaking, it's he feels like he's a fuck up and he's trying to get out of it. Empty stomach, broken heart, and empty pocket. Hasn't eaten, broken up.
When he says bulletproof glass chicken plate, apparently, and this is what Genius is telling me, that has to do with him cooking up some crack in a Pyrex glass.
Makes sense.
And then the following: empty stomach, broken heart, and empty pocket. So when you're broke, hungry, and heartbroken, these are the things that'll show you if the people on your team are actually with you or if they're fake as fuck. Because that's when people dip out and they won't prosper, but the devil's still gonna form the weapon. And that just has to be the people who may not succeed with you. The people who are going to come at you aren't going to prosper, but the devil's still going to make it as complicated and make you feel like everyone else is going to, regardless, put that doubt in your mind, regardless of the situation. So you can't hold no grudges. My hands is too busy catching blessings. Yeah, blessings. And then you look at that hook. Yeah, and I've been struggling my whole life. Yeah, pour it up and get my soul right because I've been struggling my whole life. So I broke it down and it was all white. And it's the fact is, he has been struggling, and almost in his way out is this dark, twisted tale of how he had to sell the cocaine to escape. He had to sell crack because it was the only way out. But because of that, he's almost able to get right with God because he was able to go through this dark tribulation period. But now that he's done the bad and things or whatever, he's at a point where he wants to get that redemption and make his soul right. And I really like that. I like the overall flow of this song and just the overall pensiveness to it. It's a good way to end it, It's really fun. I don't have a lot more to say about it. Honestly, I feel like at this point it was the end of the album, and it just felt like a fitting closing to everything, where if you are going to go through maybe the darker paths of things and you are going to have to do some shit, there are the people who almost want to make it sound cool forever, or who are glorify it or sell this life, but the people who really go through it, it weighs on them. And these things are post-traumatic stress disorder, where you find yourself almost craving, escape from that dark feelings. So you go through this redemption quest and you try to find a way to make things right. And that's what I see so many of these guys doing, whether it's bringing up your team, whether it's investing in the community. But that's what it's supposed to be. If you do bad, you gotta find some way to balance out that weight, or how can you really live with it? And I think that is a fitting ending to an album like this, because of the depth of like what we've covered and some of the darker shit. It isn't like this is an album of a guy who's like, yeah, I so coke, I'm a fucking gangbanger, I'm so cool. This is the real life like feelings that went into that whole situation, culminating with his desire for redemption. Beautiful ending. This is a 4.5 on 5 to me.
Absolutely. I really enjoyed the song, and I really enjoyed how he's like, again, bringing that positive support and really feeling like I can overcome anything. And, you know, when you really sit down through the album and really listen to what he's been through and all the experiences, I feel like myself, it's like, damn, if he can get over anything, I can also do the same. And it really gave me that type of ambition and drive to want to do better in my life. Maybe I'm not saying that Freddie's a bad person. I'm just saying, like, I want to achieve and I want to become successful. So that was something that was really cool. I left that song with a 4.2. It was just like it was a nice, softer track for me.
All right. So I guess that comes to the end of this album review, the second part of this album review. So hopefully you're still with us and you clicked on both videos and went through this journey to find out that I gave this album a fucking 4.5 on 5. And here's what I'm going to say. This shit is a very well-made album that to me, it's like a classic. It's because it's so well-rounded and personal. I feel like I got to know Freddie. I feel like, but prior to this, like in the last album when we did the Fetty
Roma. It's
not called Fetty Roma. It's called Fetty, and it had Roma written under it on the cover. But it's called Fetty. I looked it up in the middle of the podcast.
At least there's facts.
So, like, when you look at that, I don't feel like I got the same. I felt like it was flossy, it was hard. You could tell it was legit and authentic. But this felt like a guy pouring his heart and soul out with the intent of you maybe trying to learn some shit from it. All 15 songs came off different and covered different subject matter and approached different things. It was versatile. Like, I'm willing to say this is a modern classic. Will it go down 20 years as a classic? I don't know. But, like, it's just right up there with these excellent albums we've seen coming out. These fully constructed, well thought out guys in their 30s making proper albums situation that's going on. Benny the Butcher came out and did that shit. Can't remember who else this year has done that shit, but like in the last 2 weeks, I feel like we got that dope ass Benny project, we got this project, and both of them just blew my mind on the profound quality of these adults making music. So I think it's really cool, and maybe we should get more of it, because I'm really liking this, and I cannot recommend this album enough. Even if, like, maybe you're a little iffy about crack dealing and shit, fine, but get over yourself and go listen to what this man has to say about the whole situation. I feel like he gives the overall subject matter a really honest take that's worth hearing.
Nice. I really enjoyed the album. I do agree. I think there's a lot of sides to Freddie on this album. It gets very personal. It gets very descriptive, and you really get these images and these visions of like where he's been through and what he's gone through. The album itself did get a 4.2 for me. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really, really hype. I wanted to comment though on the concept of being a classic. Lately, with a lot of the podcasts I'm listening to and the way I'm kind of seeing music pop out now, I think that deeming something a classic needs to, and right now, like things that are coming out like this album, I want to see what happens in the next like 4 or 5 years, or when we get.
I don't need to see what happens. I'm saying this is a modern classic.
Cool. I wouldn't disagree, but I'm bringing light. I'm trying to start that conversation of like what is a classic anymore. Is that I guess?
I can answer that question because I spent a lot of time thinking about that. Because week over week we go through a show called The Classic Quest.
Go ahead.
A classic is something that can stand the test of time. And honestly, the only thing you can call a classic, in all fairness, is something that is able to last over time.
So that's why I'm saying.
Now, this album has all the elements of a project that will be able to pass the test of time. Okay. Now, if Freddie doesn't fuck up his career and he keeps going on it, this is going to be like an album that is a huge asset for like, it's something people, I believe, will remember. So what you can do is look at all the classic albums and then see what people are doing today that matches the elements of those. Like, why is Good Kids Mad City considered a classic? Is it really a classic? And then you have to have the conversation of like history and whatnot. Classic's such an arbitrary term. It really is. How things become classic sometimes is really fucking stupid. In a lot of cases, it's because somebody older than you said it was a classic. Be that as it may, then there's seminal albums, or albums that might not be classics but are the first to accomplish something or are historically significant in some way. And a lot of seminal albums are classics. All I'm trying to say is that you're right that throwing the word classic around is probably a bad idea for a lot of things. And that's why I'll call it a modern classic, because every era has its classics, and every scene has its classics, and all of these different things. So is this a classic of all time? No. But as far as albums that are going to come out in 2019, this is going to rank as one of the classics of this year.
I agree.
So, yes, good conversation point. It's been waiting for it my whole life. Ready to talk about it.
That's pretty much it, man.
All right. Thank y'all for watching. Let us know what you think about the classics and what you think a classic is. Let us know what you thought about this album. Let us know what you thought of the review. Let us know what you're going to have for dinner, because I'm hungry myself and I'm curious. So, anyway, if you do make that effort to leave a comment, I'll make that effort to answer you. We can have a little conversation, and if you do want to correct anything or whatever, just keep in mind other people will come read it. You could be the favorite comment in next week's video. Anyway, you can also hit subscribe for more reviews. Hit that like button if you did, and special thanks to the patrons. It's me, Gat Damn, Chris Prado, Jonathan Barnes, DJ Black Hurricanes, Linda Williams. The support will be due to help us get a new camera. They get to tell us what albums to review, and if you want to join the squad for $1 or more a month, you can come hang out with us and help us get better at all of this from a more actual gear kind of thing. Anyway, it's getting a little late and tired. We make music too. You can check that out on the channel, and have yourselves a great week, because we'll get more. And also let us know what you think of the part 1, part 2 format versus the longer version. And yeah, I can't think of anything else. Have a great night. Bye.
Peace.